Okay, calm down.
You've been also doing a lot of interviews with third party. So you've interviewed Jill Stein, Cornel West, also interviewed Democrats like Marianne Williamson. What can you tell us right now about what is happening with third party voters and third party candidates? And you actually got an interesting scoop where Cornel West said that that the
Can you specify if you can? You mentioned offering positions, resources. Were you offered a position in the Harris administration? Any financial incentives to drop out?
Oh, I mean, there was definitely various kind of offers. I won't go into concrete details of it. I really won't, because I don't even want to make that the focus.
But
of
let's just say
But
they
I
did
would
not
just say
they
that
did they
there
did not they did not offer you the janitor's position. They offered you something relatively high up.
Well, I don't think it was that high up, because believe me, brother, the highest position in the empire, they can't say a word about genocide. For me, it's just a place in Dante's Inferno, man. And that's the lowest litmus test of morality, to oppose genocide. And when you deny genocide, when you actually enable genocide, that cannot be the only option to fascism.
Right. Did they just one more on this? Did they offer you? Did they offer you a cabinet position, a lower position, and offer to pay off any of your campaign debt?
Well, they offered serious substantive conversation about all of those that could lead toward some real
Gotcha.
possible, you know.
so tell us about that and then the third party scene in general.
Well, first off, to your audience, I'm sorry to tell you, Santa's not real, and we don't have a democracy. So that's
Oh,
the flag
Santa's
behind
not
me.
real. I thought you said Sanders is not real, which would have also
No.
worked. Yeah.
Santa's not real. We don't have a democracy. So all the fundraising emails, all the hysteria, there's no democracy to save. We have some democratic elements, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're literally spending hundreds of thousands of, actually millions of dollars to get Jill Stein. Even forget what you think. If you don't like Jill Stein, you
Yeah.
like her. If you don't like,
Whatever,
it
yeah.
doesn't matter. Even RFK, they're spending God knows how much money to stop competition, to stop democracy.
I think we've kind of been alerted now, and we're more prepared to deal with the many strategies that the Democrats use to try to disrupt us. That's not to say it's going to be easier going forward, but that, you know, much of our momentum in 2016 did get sabotaged by that Senate Intelligence Committee. I think we're in a better position now to be able to respond to the many forms of sabotage that are coming from the Democrats right now, and to be public about that, and to be calling them out, and to be mobilizing our ranks to be able to deal with that.
So the democracy narrative and talking points is totally mute or moot. Number two, you know, I saw AOC's little Instagram video.
You are the leader of your party. And if you run for years and years and years and years and years in a row, and your party has not grown, and you don't add city council seats, and you don't add down ballot candidates, and you don't add state electeds, that's bad leadership. And that to me is what's upsetting. Because if you have been your party's nominee for 12 years in a row, 4 years ago and 4 years before that and 4 years before that, and you cannot grow your movement pretty much at all, and can't pursue any successful strategy, and all you do is show up once every 4 years to speak to people who are justifiably pissed off, but you're just showing up once every 4 years to do that, you're not serious. You're not to me, it does not read as authentic. It reads as predatory. I'm sorry. I'm just saying it.
I got to tell you, I'm not like going to throw out Fraud Squad or anything like that. She's no longer my cup of tea. But boy, is that somebody who's really, really lost touch with how things really are. And what I mean by that, I mean, at the end of the day, she's criticizing Jill Stein for showing up every 4 years, this and that, and not doing work on the ground. I've talked to Green Party people who said Jill Stein has helped them with their local campaigns. as well as other Howie Hawkins, et cetera, et cetera. But it's a David versus Goliath. I mean, at the end of the day, the media really matters. As somebody who's, fought and clawed to build an independent media outlet, on a presidential, AOC had the benefit that she wasn't covered. So she was able to sneak through because her opponent at the time, Joe Crowley, was asleep at the switch. He wasn't campaigning. He just assumed he was going to win. If the media would have covered her more in that local New York 14 race, Crowley might have actually started carpet bombing her with ads. Jill Stein, for example, even Marianne Williamson running in the Democratic Party, it was a complete media blackout. And when the media did cover them, they say, well, she's not a credible candidate.
Not a serious
Not
candidate. Yeah.
right. And at the end of the day, I mean, traveling as much as I do, the overwhelming majority of people are not like us. They're not living and breathing politics. They're not watching YouTube shows. Their news consumption and their political consumption is maybe local news or CNN or Fox or whatever for 10 minutes at night. Most people's consumption of what's going on, who the candidates are, when the primary is, comes from their local news. And, some people a little further than that, whether it's like NPR or CNN or whatever. So if you're not getting the fact that there even is a third party choice, if you don't know anything about them, not just Jill Stein, any of them, it's kind of hard to build a party.
Sure.
I'm not saying Jill Stein or Cornel West is perfect. I love Cornel West, but I would say he's probably a better revolutionary thinker than a politician. I think he would probably not even argue with that. I don't think he's run the best campaign, but Jill Stein, by the way, wasn't planning on running. She ran because Cornel West dropped out from the Green Party. So AOC makes it sound like, oh, these people are just losers who can't sway people. Most people don't even know they're an option. And
Right.
until you address that inequality that is the media either blacking you out or totally smearing you. I mean, Marianne Williamson, I would argue, was more qualified to run than Pete Buttigieg was. She was a successful entrepreneur, author, had ties to Oprah. Pete Buttigieg was a small town mayor who did nothing other than gentrify. But boy, did the media prop him up. Marianne Williamson, they painted as a crystal lady.
Right.
So I think, I see in the left has been so fractured in this post Bernie era between that rift between people who still want to, try to do it within the Democratic Party versus people who say burn down the Democratic Party. We got to do it through a third party. And my stance has always been, I think we're arguing about the wrong thing because it's rigged either way. For those who think it's going to be easier or more virtuous to do it through a third party, maybe more virtuous, not easier. You could say what you want, but Bernie Sanders came a lot closer than any third party candidate has ever come doing it within the Democratic Party. So to me, until you address the systemic corruption and rot of the electoral system, of the public financing system, it's rigged to defeat third party candidates. I mean, honestly, Cornel West, they've been fighting to get him off the ballots. Jill Stein, the Biden's Treasury Department is withholding $300 worth of matching funds from her that she has qualified for, and the Federal Election Commission said she qualified for. We know what happened with Matthew Ho. He was an independent who ran in North Carolina. The Democrats were sending out fake robocalls.
Right. Pretending to be the Green Party.
So I'm not saying don't try to build a third party, but you also shouldn't have illusions or be delusional that it's an easier road or more virtuous. And it's not just like find a more charismatic candidate. I think Cornel West is pretty damn charismatic, and right now he's floundering. Right now the system is corrupt, and if you don't have any way of combating years ago when Nick Brana started his whole thing before all the other stuff with him, I asked him, what's your media strategy? Because I think 60% of a third party, you're going to have to break through local media, national media. No answer. And I think most of them don't have an
People's
answer.
Party.
Exactly. So to me, I can't blame Jill Stein for the Green Party. There's been a lot of disorganization in the Green Party. There's been a lot of disorganization in a lot of third parties. But at the end of the day, I don't know if any third party is going to be successful if you cannot get to the majority of Americans, A, that you exist, B, what you stand for, and then get to know you. Because Bernie, he rose in 2016 and 2020, the more people heard from him,
Right.
the more people heard his message, the more popular he became. If you can't get your message out, you're kind of, screwed.